Hello. We're here today to solve a very serious problem. If you played any games online, you know just what we're talking about. It plagues every gamer, from pro to noob. It's the fact that your first few games are terrible. And quite frankly, this is unacceptable. If you're an elite player, like Abdallah here, you know just what we mean. Now, Abdallah is a League of Legends expert at Game Without Pain. He plays at the highest level of the game. And it's for athletes like him that we've developed a pre-game exercise routine that turns on the muscles required to game at your peak performance levels. One of the geniuses that helped us put it together is Mr. Mark Lee. Abdallah, Scotty! Thank you, Mark.
So the first exercise we're going to talk about is called the deep lunge. The primary areas of focus with this exercise is the hips. The reason for that is because when you're sitting in your gaming chairs and playing your intense bouts of gaming, you sometimes forget about what your hips are doing. It's just always in a shortened position, and that leads to back pain. Normally people think back pain is a result of just your back's being weak and not strong enough, but there's a deep muscle in your hips called the iliopsoas and it attaches to your spine. When it gets overly tight, it compresses the discs, which leads to the back pain associated. So with this exercise that Abdallah is going to help demonstrate, we're going to look to activate your hamstrings and your quads, but at the same time really focusing on stretching the opposite hip. So as he steps down, he's going to focus on pushing forward with his right glute, thereby opening up his hips. Good. For 2 seconds he's going to hold, and then inhale, come up, exhale, come down. Good, and really reach forward, nice. And he's gonna switch. Good, and repeat. So once you've mastered that, we're gonna add a little bit of a variation to it so that we can also target the forearm flexors at the same time. And basically the reason for that is because when you're playing, whether it be on a console or a PC, you're overly activating your forearm flexors, which are these guys here, and they do this action. So we want to help stretch them out by putting it in a prayer position with the arms parallel to the floor like this. You don't want them on an angle like a house, so you keep it nice and parallel like this. So Abdallah's going to demonstrate the exercise. Starts out the exact same way, just in a prayer position here, and then you're going to turn to the opposite direction of the hip being stretched, which is this guy. Remember to keep your glute pushed forward so you feel that nice stretch. Then you come back up, alternate legs, and then now he's going to turn towards you and show you guys his beautiful face. As you can see, it's not really a tough variation to add to the original exercise. All the elements are pretty much the same. All you're just doing is adding that prayer position and twisting. Once your hips and your back feel nice and strong and you don't have any issues going forward, you can just do the hip rotations, trunk rotations with the wrists in that position to help keep it nice and loose in between cues or while you're picking up your favorite gun setup. It's just a great quick exercise you can do to keep everything nice and loose. Okay, so next we're going to move on to a nice breathing exercise that's going to help increase your focus and keep you nice and calm before you head into your matches. So this exercise, we're going to start on the floor, and basically when you inhale, you're going to focus on inhaling through the stomach. The reason for that is when you breathe through the stomach, it helps emphasize the action of the diaphragm, and the diaphragm is the primary muscle in breathing. Also, what it helps with is relaxation, because whenever you tend to breathe when you're in a nervous state or an anxious state, you're always kind of hyperventilating and you're breathing through the shoulders and chest. So if you continue to breathe naturally when you think you're relaxed and you breathe through the chest, it's also kind of going to simulate the sympathetic system, which is the one that's your fight or flight. So what we want to do is focus on your stomach with these breaths. You're going to take two objects. We just happen to have Captain America and Superman to help us out here at Game Without Pain. So we're going to put Captain America on the chest and Superman right on the stomach. So when Abdallah is taking his deep inhales, he's going to focus on moving Superman, because he's a god, always higher than Captain America. It's good. Let's take another deep inhale. Nice. And breathe in. Good. And you want to see the stomach move that much. How are you feeling? Cool. And that's it. Once you're comfortable with moving in that position against gravity, you can easily do it from the chair, the exact same way. So the next exercise we're gonna do, Abdallah has coined it the Falcon Hadouken. Hadouken! So basically what it looks like is he's gonna demonstrate it right from the gaming setup in the chair. So he's pushing forward, stretching out the forearms. Good, nice stretch through here. Elbows are locked and the shoulders are reaching forward, so he's stretching out his upper back. Nice. And then the second half of this exercise, he's gonna do a little pump handle action, bring it back, curl the wrists in to get a stretch through the forearm extensors, which are these muscles back here. And he's gonna squeeze in the shoulder blades. Nice. So the actual flow is a bit quicker. So he just goes like that and draws back. Good. And the purpose of this is to get some nice mobility through the elbows, the shoulders, the wrists, and just loosen up everything in your upper body that usually gets in a static position while gaming, so you don't tend to game like this all the time. So reach, reach, reach. Imagine squeezing a pencil in between your shoulder blades. Nice. Exhale, flow through. Another thing that is a common misconception with this exercise is that sometimes people may want to hang their elbows low while doing this. It's not as effective because it doesn't grab the supraspinatus in there. It's this tiny little action in the muscle that helps raise your arms. So you want to keep the arms at a nice parallel direction to the floor and at 90 degrees right through here. So that's perfect right there. Try to keep it there. If it's too tough, just go slightly lower and then just do the same action. The reason whenever you pump back like this and you curl your wrist forward, it's gonna help stretch your forearm extensors, and these are the guys that on mouse clicks are bringing your fingertips back. So they do get active as well. A lot of the times with consoles, people are focusing on just the finger flexors or the ones that curl in. But anytime you're playing on a mouse or keyboard, you always have to bring the fingers back as well, so they get shot, and they're overactive as well. So that helps to stretch it out in that way. And then when you flow forward, obviously you want to target the forearm flexors. So we're getting a nice mobility throughout all the forearm muscles, and also the elbows and the shoulders. So the next exercise we're gonna move into is just a nice transition into the shoulder roll. So we're activating most of our upper body components, but specifically we're gonna target our shoulders now because they tend to get in a tense position, especially in really intense rounds of gaming that are really competitive. You can get really anxious and hold a lot of stress throughout your neck. So what he's gonna do is start with gentle circles in an outward direction. Good, and slowly build up to larger circles whenever he feels comfortable. Keeping his head in a neutral position, so the back of his ear aligned with his shoulder. You don't want to lean forward with the chin forward as well, because then that's like your forward head posture we always talk about. So chin tucked in slightly, neck in a neutral position. Good. And then you're going to rotate the other way so that you get movement in both directions. So now that we have the shoulders nice and relaxed, we can progress to the neck. The neck we want to target obviously because with text neck and just forward head posture in general, we want to keep them nice and loose. So what Abdallah is going to demonstrate is the neck rotations. Basically you're going to start from ear to right shoulder, looking over the right shoulder. Then you're going to slowly rotate downwards and then up towards the other side. And then you're going to come back. Good, and breathing naturally as you come through the movements. So as you rotate down, look down, look down, look down, and then you look up and come back up. The reason why we're not incorporating the extension portion by looking up is because when you do this action, it shortens the muscles here, and those muscles are already shortened while in a forward head posture, which is the one we're kind of combating. So we don't want that to be an emphasis in our exercise. So the next exercise, we've got your upper back, your neck, all nice and relaxed. We're gonna go back to focusing on the forearms and wrists. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring our forearms together, like so. And then what Abdallah is gonna demonstrate is what we call the Lotus wrist rolls. So he's gonna just bring them into a nice, maintaining contact with his hands at all times, bringing the forearms back at the neutral position. Good. So try to progress to opening up your fingers, nice. So what this exercise is really good for is keeping the mobility in your wrists adding a lot of blood flow through the area so that they are not in a static position that's typical of a normal gaming setup. It helps keep the wrists and forearms and elbows, also the shoulders a little bit, nice and loose for the action that you're about to do. Then you just do it a couple in that direction and then you can switch towards the other way. Perfect. Might take some time to coordinate that, but once you do it a couple times, you can just move into the opposite direction pretty easily. Okay, so now we're gonna add some dynamic movements to our wrist exercise. And for this, we're gonna need some finger extensors. So when you attach the finger extensors to your hands, basically you want them at the base of your fingernails, like Abdallah has right now. Perfect. And you're gonna hold it in a kind of a position where you're holding a playing card, and basically what you're gonna do is open it up like a flower. Nice and simple. Perfect. You can do it in this position if you're comfortable. It's a little easier if you start with your palms facing upwards and just open it naturally. Nice. And all you're looking to do is repeat that 15 to 20 times. So once you've warmed up the one hand, you want to also balance out the other, especially with console gamers because they use both hands. Depending on the game on the PC, you might be primarily using just the mouse hand, but you also want to warm up the other hand as well to prevent any injuries in the future. It's a great way to warm up your wrists and your fingers just before your next gaming session. So the next exercise is also going to be done in your gaming chair. What it's going to help you do is to focus better before your matches, and it's really effective, especially if your gaming session is typically right when you wake up. You might be a little groggy. What you're going to do is basically you can take your thumb, a pen, basically any object you want to focus on. You're going to start out at arm's width, just right center to your nose. Keep it there until you can focus on it, and then you're going to slowly bring it towards you while maintaining that focus, like Abdallah's showing you here, until it gets blurry. So once it got blurry here, you're gonna move it out slightly until you refocus. Good. And then bring it back closer and closer until it's blurry again. Good. And then from there, you can move it back to where it's in focus. Try to look at an object slightly behind the thumb, and then come back to the thumb. Then you're gonna try to look at an object to the right of it, refocus on the thumb, bring it closer, play around going up and down, side to side, whatever you like, but just remember that it can be taxing on the brain, so stop at any point where you're feeling it to be too stressful. All you want is a little bit of focusing and easy exercise. Another benefit of this exercise is going to help with any eye strain issues you may be suffering from. It's going to help keep them warmed up. Your eyes and your mind connection are going to be optimal after doing these exercises. So for this next drill, it's basically like a manual therapy drill that you can do yourself. Basically what you'll need is just a lacrosse ball, just the ball that's firm and hard that everybody likes. So for the first one, all you're gonna do is place the ball between your hands and roll it around. So basically all you're trying to do is to roll around the connective tissue in your palm with a bit of pressure, not too much. So it's all nice and gentle, good. So the reason for this is it's gonna help loosen up the connective tissue that gets stiff when all of your finger flexors are constantly shortening. So it's gonna cause this whole area to become nice and tight and tense. So what we wanna do is loosen that up with the ball. Now an alternate way of doing this is you can do it on the desk, one hand at a time, or if you have two balls, like most of us do, we're gonna be, you can do it at the same time. Kind of like a wax on, wax off pattern if you want. For now, he's gonna do it with one hand. You're gonna progress to the back of the hand because you wanna loosen up those muscles as well. These tendons are attached all the way up here, and they're involved primarily with bringing your hand back when you're going to click on the mouse buttons or keys, and then they facilitate the actions of the mouse click. Good, so the same amount of pressure as when you were just rolling it around in the hand. Then you're gonna move on towards your forearms. This here is where the muscle belly lies. All of the muscles involved with bringing your fingers open, attach in this general area here. And Abdallah is basically searching for a tender point. Once he finds that, he's gonna use his opposite hand to add a little bit more pressure. So you're just manually manipulating the tissue in your forearms for about 30 seconds or until you feel some release. Once you feel that, you're gonna switch over to the front, and you're basically working in this area here where all your flexors attach to. Good, you wanna keep your hands nice and relaxed on the table, all the work being done just where all the muscles attach to. So he's adding extra resistance here so that he can really make the release happen a bit quicker. Good. So again, 30 seconds or until you feel that release happening sooner. So now that Abdallah's demonstrated all those exercises, we're gonna put them all together in a nice little pre-game warm-up routine that you can do right before your games. So let's get started. So to recap, deep lunge prayer pose, 10 to 12 rotations on each side, holding for 2 seconds on the stretch. Next exercise, alternating breathing on the floor or in a chair, 10 to 12 breaths, filling up the stomach. Next exercise is the Falcon Hadouken, 10 to 12 times, rotating through and really reaching. Next, shoulder rolls, external and internal, 10 to 12 in both directions. Next we have are the cervical spine rotations along the neck, just rotating from ear to ear, no extensions, 10 to 12 in both directions. The next exercise is the inward and outward Lotus wrist rolls, 10 to 12 rolls in both directions. We have the finger extensors, 15 to 20 on each hand. For the thumb focusing drills, try to aim for about a minute or 2 without any strain in the eyes or the brain while you're doing it. Finally, we're gonna move on to the lacrosse ball, to the hands. You wanna roll it around for 1 minute until your fascia feels a little bit looser, and then you're gonna move to the back of the hand as well for 20 seconds. So now that you have a nice, beautiful pre-game workout that you can run before your games, what we're gonna do is help you create the ultimate gamer setup.
So if you're like me and play video games or work on the computer for long periods of time, then you want to make sure to have your essentials at the desk so you're not lazy and skipping out on food or water, or you're getting up frequently from your work and taking time away from gaming. This is an example of what works for me, but you have to see what works for you as well. The most important thing to have at your desk is a water bottle. Another important thing to have are healthy snacks like an apple, granola bars, or even nuts. Another thing for when I'm streaming for a long period of time, I like to have a protein shake, kind of like a meal replacement to keep me energized for the whole way through.
Some other important tools to keep at your desk are the lacrosse ball and finger extensor. So lastly, don't forget about the resistance bands that you can keep in between cues, or while you're picking your favorite gun setup, you can do some nice warm-ups as we explained earlier. So there are computer programs out there that help adjust these brightness levels in your computer automatically. You just have to play with the settings. Or you can buy blue light lenses that help filter out the blue light rays that come out from your monitor, and this will help counteract the effects of your sleep-wake cycles being affected.
Genius, just like I told you. With this incredible and incredibly simple pre-game routine, you'll be climbing the rankings in no time. Your friends and enemies will be jealous in equal measure. Be sure to read below for more details on this amazing program, and for special tips on how to set your gaming area up for peak performance. And be sure to stick around for the next video, Lifestyle Hacks.